hell no!
Huh?
Oh my god!
Yeah, boy!
After 9 long years, the most popular show in the world has now finished. Stranger Things Season 5 is done, and it is by far the most controversial and dividing season of the whole show. With a show this big, the ending is always going to be controversial. So the real question is Stranger Things Season 5 a letdown? Let me quickly just say, I will be talking about the whole season, but my initial thoughts on Volume 1 and 2 are already posted. I'll link them below. So I'll mainly be focusing on the finale, but at the end, I'll give my final thoughts on the whole series as a whole. In my Volume 2 video, I said a lot of people were being dramatic, but I thought they can wrap things up nicely and all will be forgiven if they give us a good ending. The first thing I want to talk about in this finale was the Vecna backstory stuff. I thought this was so well done. I mean, Jamie Campbell Bower is literally a powerhouse. He's so incredible in that scene. It was a really well done reveal, and I think that scene shows how good this show can be when it wants to take itself seriously. But then we have that really good scene, and then all of a sudden we got an MCU big monster boss fight, which I'm saying, MCU boss fight like it's derogatory. I actually quite enjoyed it. I absolutely love how Eleven just became the main character again in that scene. She was like, yeah, wait, hang on. Wait, this is my show. And then she just decided to be a badass. I think the whole group's involvement was silly, especially if no one died. Like, realistically, Nancy should have got. It's not like her ending at the end justified her living to the end. You know what I mean? When we could have had such an emotional moment with one of the main characters dying and how that affects everyone else's endings. Because her ending was a bit like, okay, whatever. Anyway, they beat the monster in 5 minutes because the show is stupid now all of a sudden. I do love Will in that scene going, we're not afraid anymore, taking control of his powers and helping. That was a really good moment. And the number one thing I enjoyed about that scene was how they killed Vecna. Joyce chopping his head off with the axe was such a cool scene because once again we needed a badass Joyce moment this season. But also I loved how it cut to each character and showed how each of them had been affected by the upside down Vecna mind flare nonsense. And I just loved it. It was a very emotional scene, especially when it ended with Will being like, I just want it all over. I just want it all to be over. And Joyce cuts his head off and then it's done. The upside down is finished. Anyway, yeah, everything looks dandy for our gang. We're all going back to Hawkins. We're all so happy. Anyway, they're all going home. They're all safe. It's all dandy. But then, oh no! Terminator Lady's here. The gang are stopped and then there's the reveal that Elle is in the gate. I think this was a really good moment. The scene between Mike and Elle in the void is really well done. They're not very, they're not an interesting couple in the show anymore. They're not very interesting. I didn't really care about them. But that scene did remind me, it's like, wow, these guys are, they were a good couple. Not anymore. Like, they're pulling on heartstrings that we used to have. I'm a Finn Wolfhard defender, but in that scene, he's really bad, which is really weird because at the end of this episode, he puts in one of his best performances in the whole show. He's so good in that final scene. But in this scene, it really is just not believable. Anyway, 11 blows up. We cut to 18 months later and we have the epilogue, and this is the saving grace for this episode. Whilst the final battle felt really rushed, they took their time on this because they knew they needed to end each character's story in exactly the way they wanted to. Robin's speech at the start with the squawk was really cringe, but you know what, it's Stranger Things vibes, so we'll let her off. Dustin's speech was so good, a good callback to Eddie and what Eddie said he'd be doing if he graduated, and that kicks off our 3 big ending scenes. First of our ending scenes is the scene with the older teens. They discuss their life now and how they're moving on post Hawkins shenanigans. This scene is a little strange for me because I have very mixed thoughts. I love Steve's ending being a baseball coach and a sex ed teacher. It's so funny and it's just the perfect choice for Steve. And Joe Keery's so good in that scene. I love that moment, especially when he turns away when he starts crying, which is so in character. But that's my only positive of the scene because the rest of the scene feels really awkward for some reason. They plan to meet up every month, but for some reason I really feel like the characters don't want to meet up every month. It's like they're like, oh well, I guess we should do that. I guess we should because we've been through such a thing. But it's like, can we be bothered? I was very much praising Charlie Heaton in previous episodes and previous moments, like Jancy's scene or Will's coming out scene, where I said he does an amazing job. But in this scene, he's really weird. I can't describe it, but his performance was just irritating and he was getting on my nerves. Like, what if you did this for my movie and you did this for my movie? And it just felt so weird. Robin and Nancy's endings were a bit like nothing. Like, they didn't really give us much detail on what's going on. It's just like, yeah, well, they moved away from school and then, but Nancy dropped out of school, so she's not really doing that anymore. It felt like they were a bit of an afterthought. They were like, well, we're going to make it clear that Jonathan's doing his own thing and he's carving his way through the film industry. He wants to make a film, and Steve's doing this and this. But Robin and Nancy, they sort of moved away. They just moved away. Our second ending scene was Joyce and Hopper. I love their dance. Them two are such great actors, David Harbour and Winona Ryder. They look like genuinely in love, which is better for some couples in the show. There's not a lot I can say about that because it was just pretty solid, was pretty good, was exactly what people expected, but listen, sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. And our final ending is the most important. It was the one they could not mess up. Rather than going to the party, the gang all meet up and they play D&D for one final time. They defeat Mike's goofy vampire monster, and it's such a feel-good scene, really reminds you of season 1. But the emotions came with Mike's storytelling. I think the Duffers sort of like remembered, hang on, Mike was like our main character, we need to end the show with Mike. The way he tells each character's ending is so beautiful, and every time they cut back to the actors pretty much either holding back tears or bawling is so heartbreaking. It had everyone tearing up, and if it didn't, you are a full-on liar, you are fully lying. But then we have the most controversial part, the ending of the mage. It's revealed to us that Mike kind of believes that Elle survived for this like strange reason, but I don't believe it, you know? I do quite like that the ending's left ambiguous, and it's like, if you want to believe, you can believe. I don't believe. And I think if you do believe, you are deluded. Callie was 100% dead by the time, like, they got out of the Upside Down. And maybe that's why the fight was, like, 5 minutes long. But yeah, as much as it means, like, the Duffers cannot kill any of their characters, I do like that it's left ambiguous. And you can give Elle a somewhat happy ending if you want. The gang all saying, I believe, was so well done. Every single one of them did really well in that scene. And then they put their books away, and which was so emotional, because it really is, like, symbolic for the actors putting away their characters for the final time. And God, that is such a good scene. And the show finally ends with Mike walking up the stairs, and all of a sudden his younger sister and her friends brush past him, they sit down, they start a D&D campaign, and they are the next generation, and it really is a full circle moment. As Mike sort of smiles, he shuts the door, and the show fades to black. Listen, Stranger Things is a show I have grown up with. I love this show, and I am extremely biased. However, I do need to be objective. This season has a lot of writing issues, performances are strained, and there's so many plot holes by the end of the show. But the epilogue and the way they ended the show has really saved this season as a whole for me. So with all that combined, I'm gonna give Stranger Things season 5 a 6.5 out of 10. And yeah, I guess that's Stranger Things done forever. I can't believe it. Listen, if you've made it this far, you've clearly enjoyed it, so why not drop a like and subscribe? You know, it's literally free, and you can always unsubscribe later. The support on the last video was literally exceptional. I could not believe it. So let's carry it on into 2026. It's going to be a great new year for us all, and I wish us all well.